Welcome to Pod Me If You Can. I'm David Farrell. Today, for the 150th episode, it is Entangled from this two-pack. Entangled is from 1993. It stars Judd Nelson and Pierce Brosnan.
Pardon me if you can. Movie reviews.
David Merkin, played by Judd Nelson, is a first-time author of a novel called A Taste of Tears. The novel is savaged by the critics in Paris where he lives. By chance, he meets Annabelle, played by model Laurence Triel, a beautiful model that loves his novel. She's famous and he thinks everyone wants her. He feels like a slob by comparison. He spends some months writing his second novel and submits it anonymously to a competition. Annabelle gets secretive and lies about her modelling gigs, which makes David jealous and crazy. In a rage, he breaks into a house where he believes she is modelling and confronts a man that he believes is her lover. In a freak accident, a gun is dropped and goes off, killing the man. Meanwhile, his novel wins the competition, but he fears if he reveals himself as the author, then someone will recognize him as the killer. Now, by its nature, the film Entangled has a lot of nudity and sort of casual sort of sex scenes. That might be because the actress they have is Laurence Triel, who is a model in real life, and they've sort of seemed to have built this story almost around her. The film Entangled is actually based on a best-selling novel, but it doesn't really translate to screen here. Following the murder I mentioned in the introduction, she actually finds him, and the two of them book a hotel room for an hour just to fool around again. And it's like the lyrics of that Backstreet Boys song. She says she doesn't care who he is, where he's from, what he's done, as long as he loves her. And he does. It's a very passionate kind of affair, but as the blurb on the box says, passion is very close to obsession. It is strange, though. All the characters are very thin, and the fact that she asks no questions of him and also doesn't want to confirm whether or not he's a killer is a little bit alarming. One of the more laughable elements here is the fact that the storyline where he is a killer, he's actually identified by witnesses, and so they've done a caricature kind of him in the paper. And the way this is resolved is he grows a mustache, and no one recognizes him. It's very Superman with glasses is now Clark Kent situation. One of the real weaknesses here is that of the three actors, Judd Nelson, Pierce Brosnan, and model Laurence Triel, she is definitely a model/actress and not the other way around, because most of her lines appear to have been redubbed, and most of her scenes she's pulling alarming expressions, and she's not a strong actress and doesn't really play well off the other two. One of the more ridiculous scenes is when she tries to get out of a vehicle which David is driving and hangs out of the vehicle while they veer back and forth in traffic. You never quite believe anybody's motivations. Now, Pierce Brosnan plays Patrick Garavan, and he plays this part 2 years before he would accept the role of James Bond, but he has already appeared in Remington Steele. Now, his character actually steals ownership of the novel that won the competition, and he comes out of the woodwork and tries to steal this masterpiece, which everyone is buying, and they're in the 5th edition of printing of, and it's making a lot of money. There's a real Misery-style moment where his character Patrick tries to keep Judd Nelson's character David in the house to write a screenplay version of the book. However, he offers him a great amount of money to do so. While Pierce Brosnan is playing kind of a smarmy character in Patrick, he is pretty much just a wealthy businessman and becomes sort of a caricature towards the end of this film. Spoiler warning. Following a car accident, Judd Nelson's character David actually resembles a kind of Frankenstein. They give him this very gnarly kind of stitched up scar above his eye, and he has a limp, and it's a very daring move, and I didn't mind it. But then his character is so passive and such a weakling, and he falls down the stairs, and he doesn't have that kind of energy that would sell where his character is emotionally. The absolute worst part of this film, though, and the reason that it's probably not very memorable, is because the last act, the last 25 minutes of this film, is actually Pierce Brosnan's character, Patrick, and Judd Nelson's character, David, monologuing each other to death. There is a scene where an antique dealer comes up and says, "I've brought you these 2 guns for your collection, Patrick." And he says, "Great, I'll buy them, no problem." And he says, "Be careful, one of the guns is loaded." And you expect there's going to be some kind of duel where one of them grabs a gun and the other has to grab a gun, but you don't know which one has a bullet and they're both going to fire at each other or something action-packed. But no, the guns are shelved. And the entire film, the 25 minutes, last 25 minutes, the exciting conclusion is the 2 actors in a room like a play, and they just monologue and monologue, but it's not Shakespeare. And one of them even monologues after the other one is dead. It would have been fun for the actors who got a free trip to Paris to shoot the film. There's one scene with the Eiffel Tower in the background, otherwise you wouldn't necessarily know where they were. It's got a spot of nudity, but it's nothing exceptional. They've really tried to glamorize the love between the 2 of them. I just really don't think the acting of Judd Nelson suits this film, and I really don't think it sells the emotion that he should have at the end of this film. You just don't believe it, and they can monologue each other to death, but it also feels like they're monologuing the audience to death. On the back of the box, the film has been compared to Body Heat, Fatal Attraction, and Basic Instinct, but it claims that Entangled has a distinct quality that will make it incomparable. There's not much about this film that's worth looking into. It's fun to see Pierce Brosnan just before he's Bond, but beyond that, it's not an exceptional performance from Judd Nelson, and it's a very forgettable film. Thanks to everyone who's checked out 150 videos on YouTube, and you can subscribe to us and check out some of the other ones you may have missed.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeyifyoucan.com.